And now we come to a sensational moment, a really sensational moment in the history of ZKM. Because normally ZKM is famous that the exhibitions are perfectly and optimal opened and finished. But our catalogs come always later, and horribly dictus sometimes 4 years later. But tonight, thanks to Bruno's energy, to Bruno Latour's energy, and thanks to his orchestration of an international network of writers, scientists, etc., which he made available to us, we have this historical moment that the catalogue is finished, but not the exhibition. So we have now the paradox situation. We have no exhibition, but a catalogue. Normally it was the opposite. We had an exhibition, but not a catalogue. Now you give you a glimpse to this wonderful, magnificent work. Then I ask Bruno, with gratitude, to explain us how long he has worked and what is inside in this catalogue. Please show the film, and then we discuss the catalogue.
Right, so this is the moment to launch the brand new catalogue of the exhibition, hot off the press, so to speak, and as Weibel and Ika already said, for once, on time for an opening. The catalogue will be available in stores in July, and in order to introduce the catalogue, it's our pleasure to introduce Jens Lutz, our dear colleague. He's head of the publications department at ZKM and our bookmaker, as we like to call him.
Bruno, I think you have started since 2 years ago to work at the catalogue, and we are very grateful that you have worked, that you made us available your international network for great scientists and writers. How difficult was it, and what was your conception? Please tell us a little bit about the catalogue.
Well, it's the fourth time I'm lucky enough to do a catalogue with a connection between ZKM and MIT Press. And it's the third time, or the second time, I forgot when I'm doing it with Jens. It is amazing because we have been able to do with the catalogue, as you saw very briefly flipping through the pages, something which was from the start put under the auspices of Alexander von Humboldt. The idea was to compare what was mentioned before, the Ehrenkunde, which now in German is not so nice, but at the time was very important. But it's the idea that you could move from one thing to the other without really a great order, but every time learning a lesson from nature, which was the great idea of Humboldt. And we tried to reproduce that by crossing long essays with landscape. And Jens, I'm sure, will mention the difficulty with doing that. But it's also the second time that I've luck to be able to do it with my good friend and the real great maestro of design, Donato Ricci, who works with me in the Media Lab in Sciences Po. And the connection between Jens' staff, Donato, and the vast numbers of scientists, artists, and activists and philosophers, starting with Chakrabarty and ended with Donna Haraway, and you will meet some of them tomorrow, was a great occasion to see the path from where we are, what Martin mentioned before, the sort of disconnection between the world we live in and the world we live from, to the terrestrial, nicely mentioned by Bettina. So it's actually, in a way, another exhibition through the visual and through the amazing skill of Donato Ricci. And I agree with Peter, it's fairly funny to have a small-scale exhibition on paper, which is before the exhibition in real life. And no matter what we do with the cloud and Zoom and virtual reality, there's nothing like a paper catalog, especially when it's designed by Donato and produced by Jens. So it's a long, successive landing through slowly back to Earth. So in a sense, it's an admirable, how should I say, conversion movement, where we suddenly realize how much we ignore of the critical zone in which we have. It has a slightly different title, because this time it's called the science and politics, the science and politic of landing on Earth. So it's absolutely explicit. Every chapter we land closer and closer and closer from Earth. It's a great moment, and I cannot not mention my disappointment, because I have not seen the book, and only Peter has it, and it's a great disappointment, but I'm delighted, and I'm sure it will come soon to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. It's always a pleasure to work together with you as editor of our publications here at ZKM. And to be honest, it's only me and Donato who have a copy of it, not even Peter. Because it's hot off the press, but it's hot off the digital press. We still have to go into printing, which will take about 3 weeks. So I'm sure the book will be ready latest for sale, ready latest by beginning of July. So concerning the layout, I would like to start with the cover. Donato Ricci suggested an exceptional approach. He proposed to print the whole text on the front cover. Bruno suggested to use a dialogue about the view of the Earth from above. In addition to the photograph of Sophie Ristelhuber, I think it's a great solution. The dialogue addresses a whole range of points which are subject to both the exhibition and the book. And the photograph underlines this visually. As we have shorter and longer contributions in the book, we decided to have a different layout for both types of texts. The shorter ones show a horizontal movement. We call them landscape texts. They are intended to give a quick insight into a topic, and the placement of the pictures, texts, captions, and footnotes create a form of layering that reflects the idea of a zone. The longer texts have been laid out in a more classical design and thus serve the readability of longer texts. All in all, the book has 464 pages divided into 8 chapters and a quite large format of 25 to 31.5 centimeters. We put together lots of content, 82 texts by 69 authors, divided into shorter and longer contributions, with about 500 color images. Yeah, as I told you, we have to go to printing now, and the book can be purchased at our shop here at ZKM, on our website, on the web shop of the MIT Press, of course, and worldwide in bookstores. I hope that you will enjoy reading this book and that will give you a lot of new input and knowledge. Thanks.
Thank you, Jens. But again, thank you, Bruno. How could you manage 65 authors, which are very, very busy to make a contribution to our magnificent catalog? And one is important because this is another catalog we publish at MIT Press. We are the only museum in Europe which has such a high standard that our catalogs are published with one of the best publishers in the world, MIT Press. Bruno, how could you achieve to convince these people, so many people, to write in such a short time such wonderful essays?
Well, I think the main originality of his catalog is that every single essay was triggered by your exhibition, Peter, by the originality of a site, I mean, the idea of showing physically the critical zone and how to land on it. So I don't think I had maybe only one person I wanted to have who didn't answer, yes, I will do it. And then after that, it's a question of respecting deadlines and correcting a few things. But on the whole, it was a very smooth process because everyone was interested in the connection. And also because of this idea of linking Humboldtian thing description with the essays. So it allows a lot of flexibility, long and short. But of course, the main drive for the catalog was the chance I had to have a student from HFG for 3 years, for 2 years, which is 6 weeks with them. And many of them are in the catalog as well. So there are also a lot of young people for which it's their first publication. So it was a very easy. And when I work with Jens and the ZKM staff, it's always simple. It doesn't mean it's simple to do it. Donato and Jens know that. But my part was the easy one. I just had to be persistent.